my goodness. Red really is magnificent, isn't he?
Look at those muscles. Look at that head of hair.
Does he make you feel a little bit inadequate?
Those days are long gone. But in all seriousness, I can remember when he arrived here, a true ambassador to such a threatened species, the Amur tiger.
I know. It is wonderful to have him here. But as ever, there are mixed blessings in tiger territory. More of that later, but here's what else is coming up on today's programme.
A koala's mating call veers off course.
He actually flirts with helicopters.
Oh, Dennis,
just
you
have a day in the
have
office.
got a lot to learn. Hunting time. They're off. For the wolf pack. They're always looking for when they can strike.
And life in the balance for an old favourite.
She just stopped breathing. Please, not another tiger.
Last year, in an amazing first for the park, 5 southern koalas arrived from Australia. They're the only koalas in England, and everyone wants to catch a glimpse of them. And that's exactly what Head of Animal Operations Darren was hoping for.
I just think it's sensational that we've got them here. For us as animal educators, engagement, inspiration, giving people something to get excited about. Koalas tick absolutely every single box.
The only thing that could make the koala keepers here happier is babies.
I could get out.
At the moment, there are 3 ladies, Maisie, Violet, and Kurong. And 1 gent, Dennis. The hope for future generations rests on this boy's shoulders. But at just 2.5, Dennis is still a teenager in koala terms. And as keepers John and James have noticed, our furry friend is more clown than Casanova.
Some of the girls are really, really agile. You see them bouncing from tree to tree and branch to branch. Everything looks a little bit more hard work when it comes to Dennis. You see him climbing up what should be a fairly easy branch to do, but he seems to make things a little bit more complicated sometimes.
The excitement of his first trip outside sent poor Butterpaws Dennis into a complete tailspin.
He went out quite happily, had a bit of a bounce around in the branches, and then we noticed just through the outside hatches that he was in the stream.
He just sort of launched into the water, landed in it, completely panicked. Oh my God, what's this? Tried to climb out.
And almost slow motion, comic style, tips backwards. It's not funny. It is a little bit. And then he fell back in the water again.
He was fine. He started eating just a few moments later, and that's the real sort of gold standard on if a koala's happy or not. If it eats, then it's great.
Still wet behind the ears, our Dennis is not about to win prizes for agility anytime soon.
He's a little bit clumsy, but, you know, he's still young. He's like a teenage koala, so he's full of adrenaline and full of hormones. So I think sometimes he lets that get the better of him.
And like any teenager, Dennis is hungry for romance. But just how do you woo a lady koala? You bellow at her, of course. In the wild, koalas have to call potential mates over vast distances, so you can see how bellowing might be useful. And it's doing the trick here, because when Dennis calls, the girls answer. And Head of Animal Adventure, Graham, has discovered that it doesn't take too much to get this extraordinary koala karaoke started.
What we've noticed over the last few months, really, is that the noise of the brush seems to set Dennis off. So just a simple sweeping action, he starts to react to it, he sort of charges up, he starts to bellow. That then sets the girls off. And we end up with this whole sort of koala rock concert in here, really. They're all shouting and bellowing at each other. And that's really the sign for us that they're coming into season.
All 4 koalas are around 3 years old. Perfect breeding age. They live in the same enclosure, but for now, Dennis is being kept apart from the girls. Before he can be introduced to the ladies, he needs to be in tip-top shape, and that means piling on the pounds.
Our ideal weight for Dennis would be 2 kilos heavier than the girls. So most of the girls at the moment are sitting around 6 kilos.
Since he arrived, Dennis's weight has gone from 7.3 to 7.9 kilos. But Graham's determined to shelve romance until he's hit the golden 8-kilo mark.
We're just sort of holding him back a little bit because he's not quite big enough. He's still a little teenage boy, and we don't want him to go in for the girls to just be, well, get off the tree and push him off, and him have his ego knocked a little bit.
Just 100 grams of brawn stands between Dennis and a new generation of koalas. But can he make the grade and get a girlfriend by the next weigh-in? Graham certainly hopes so.
Dennis and the girls allows us to have another generation of koalas here. It'll be a relief to finally be able to get him integrated, and then to see the success that they're happy, they're comfortable, they're breeding. That's what we want. That would be the dream.
As any parent of little ones will know, they tip your world upside down. Since the arrival of their 6 pups last year, European wolves Django and Aliska have moved with their brood to the larger, more family-friendly quarters of Wolfwood. They're a hungry bunch, eating about 125 kilos of meat a week. Usually meals are pretty relaxed, but not today. The keepers want to test the wolves' mettle in a one-off experiment, and Kate's going along for the ride.
It's first thing in the morning. I am here in the carnival section to meet Amy because she has got a little plan up her sleeve to help the wolves earn their breakfast. Morning, Amy.
Morning.
Right, are we off? Amy wants to test the wolves' legendary stamina. They usually follow a truck loaded with meat for a few laps of Wolf Wood. But this morning, they're being made to run much, much further.
They're off.
It's a rare experiment, and despite the many years I've been here, an exciting animal park first for me. I'm kind of thinking if this is the Amy boot camp. The wolves are being made to not sing for their supper, but run for their breakfast.
They are being made to run. We've seen the wolves chase after the feed wagon. They absolutely love to chase it.
Which is, of course, very natural wolf behaviour, because wolves chase down their prey.
They chase down their prey. They can go at a nice steady pace, about 6 miles an hour normally. They will keep running for days.
So are we going to drive around here for what, 2-3 days?
Yeah, exactly. You got that time? Yeah, that's all right.
Wolves can cover 80 kilometres chasing down their prey, and this pack, made up of Mum Aliska, Dad Django and their 6 one-year-old pups, shows no sign of tiring just yet. What you see beautifully here is that pack dynamic, don't you, of how they work together. It's such a partnership.
Yeah, Django's right at the front all the time, right at the front. And they're cutting corners, they're making sure that someone's always on it.
They're never losing sight of it. They're always looking for that weakness, aren't they? Looking for the time when they can go in and strike. This species' habitat stretches from Western Europe to China, with hunting territories averaging 35 square kilometres. Not surprising that they're making light work of this runabout then.
We've done 4 laps?
Yeah, so we're coming into 2 kilometres we've done now. People might think, gosh, it's a bit mean to make them run for their breakfast, but why is this important for them?
Oh, it's a great stimulation for them.
Not just physical, but mental stimulation
Mental
too.
as well. Oh, they're like, yes, we're up for this challenge.
Yeah. They are the kind of perfect long-distance runners, aren't they?
I am so impressed.
5 kilometres in, and the pack's baying for blood, literally.
He's jumping.
Django's going, come on, I must have earned it.
Yeah, we're going to drop it now, because they've done a lot now.
They've done their workout.
Well, look, Django's taking a piece off. He's taking it off the road and basically giving it to the pups, look.
Oh, he is a good dad,
Look,
isn't he? He
He
is.
just dropped another one.
And although he hasn't always been the perfect gent, it looks like Django is turning out to be an okay hubby too.
And Aliska's got a piece as well, so that's what's really nice to see. Django and Aliska used to quite often fight over food.
Oh, really?
And Django would try and steal everything, and
Yeah.
Aliska would have real troubles. Before she had the pups, she would have real troubles trying to get some food. But they're so well bonded, it's fantastic.
That was an amazing, amazing thing to see. Absolutely fantastic. However, if you ever invite me over for a meal, I might...
That's what I expect all my guests. they won't.
Could you just do 4 kilometres and then you'll get your starter? Thanks, Amy.
Longleat has its fair share of grand dames, whether it's Anne the ageing elephant or 45-year-old hippo Spot. But the undisputed prima donna of the park is Innie the otter.
She growls and barks and moans and whines.
She's recently been reunited with her long-lost love, Gordito.
This is certainly the love story of the park this year.
But their rekindled romance has made them reckless, and they've been wreaking havoc. So Jean's rolled up her sleeves to help Keeper James calm them down.
Here you go, guys. There you are. Lovely. Now, James, I'm trying to keep them distracted for a couple of minutes.
Doing a good job there.
What have they been up to?
Well, they are mischievous to say the least. They are just obliterating everything. They've basically pulled all the trees down, they've snapped all the bushes, they've removed all the leaves off of them and just scent marked everywhere.
So it's all about the two of them. They're getting territorial, you know, scenting their territory, and that's all completely normal.
Yeah, so they have some pretty solid territories out in the wild, so they would keep other otters away. It does mean that they are going to their latrines, their toilet areas, and smearing the poo
Lovely.
everywhere. So we've got a little bit of enrichment today, just to try and chill them out slightly. We have some pots with some fish in there. We've got some roach in both of these.
Okay.
I put some string in there just so it's a little bit harder for them to get them out. They're very dexterous.
You want them to use their fingers, get them in there, pull out bits of fish,
maneuver them around. Yeah.
So as well as this being good for dexterity, good for them just to get exercise and stuff, it's also really to keep them out of trouble.
Oh, completely. That's all it is. Yeah. Exactly.
Right, let's get this in there. How long do you think that fish is going to last in there?
5 minutes.
Okay, that'll keep them occupied. So who's that circling around at the moment?
So that's Gordito there.
And Innie's got a sniff of it now. Over she comes. And it's a good chance for you to have a good look at them as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They really are awesome. Males can get all the way up to 6 foot, way up to 50 kilos. He's quite a slender chap, so he's about 23 kilos, but he's still pretty big.
And
there you
of
go.
course,
So she's
their
going to cover
beautiful love story. I loved hearing that.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. You know, together for 10 years, separated for 8 months. So yeah, it was lovely to get them back with each other.
And they're both working together by the looks
Yeah,
of it.
it's really keeping them underwater for longer. So it's really working on that aerobic sort of strength.
So yeah, this is probably going to keep them occupied for about another 2 minutes before they start wreaking havoc again.
Oh, I think so
Yeah,
too.
let's enjoy this while it lasts.
In the wild, around 80% of big cat species are in decline, making collections like those here more important than ever. 2006 saw the arrival of 3 endangered Amur tigers, sisters Shauri, Sundari and Svetli. And over the years, they've brought us some incredible highs. You are the most beautiful cat in the world. But it hasn't always been easy. After the devastating loss of Svetli 3 years ago, this winter, the keepers noticed a lump on Sundari's stomach. Worried that it might be cancerous, they faced the very difficult choice to put the aging Sundari under anaesthetic so that they could take a closer look. On a cold day back in January, the vets were called in and 13-year-old Sundari was sedated. Senior Warden Ian was there to record events.
So you've got 3 vets there working closely to her, plus the keepers. We don't know how long the operation is going to be. It could be a quick 20-minute job, or it could take a couple of hours. And as you can see here, we've got the tiger sedated, and then they've got to put a tube down the throat so the tiger can breathe while the operation's going on. And obviously these time when you don't want a tiger waking up when you're working really close to the mouth. The other thing you do is check for blinking of the eyes, keep touching on the eyes, and obviously if they start blinking and flashing their eyes, you know that the sedation's not 100% because you just want them to be completely out.
Sundari may be getting on in years, but this is still a cat that can take down a water buffalo. It's an incredibly nervous time for Ian.
It's always a tricky situation when we're ever knocking anything out. You've always got in the back of your mind what can go wrong. Because we've had it before where tigers have died on us.
Okay?
Yeah.
2 years ago, Sundari was undergoing enforced TB testing with her sisters Shauri and Svetli. After testing Svetli, they put her in her pen for the anaesthetic to wear off, but Svetli started convulsing.
She's still breathing, but she's just clearly had a fit.
The team tried to bring her round.
Cozzy, do you want to get that into a dart? That's the reversal.
But even after the reversal meds, the convulsions started again.
Just seeing them fit, it's really not nice to see.
Minutes later, despite the keeper's best efforts, the unthinkable happened.
She passed away right in front of our eyes, which was heartbreaking. It's like losing a member of your family, losing a tiger.
And to make this latest scare even more difficult for Ian, Sundari has a special place in his heart.
She's always been one of my favourites. She's as friendly as a tiger can be when you're in the house. I've probably got more photographs of this tiger than any other tiger, and she just becomes a real great friend.
The tube was connected to a ventilator that helps maintain Sundari's breathing. The team can begin looking at the lumps.
And they're just checking over where we noticed a wound on a mammary gland at the back, where she'd obviously been licking it, and it looked really, really sore. We weren't sure at this stage exactly what we were going to find.
After clipping and sterilising the area, the vets began their investigation.
They found out it's definitely a tumour. What sort of tumour it will be, they'll send away for tests. Quite a size. It's the size of a good tennis ball, if not 2 tennis balls.
With the 3 lumps removed, the vets prepared to bring Sundari round.
We've moved her into the other pen now. We've still got the tube in, but we took the machine off.
We'll just reverse the tight side.
And then we'll obviously take the tube out and then just wait for her to come round. My worst time is always not so much when the operation's going on, it's the coming round bit. That's when I get the most nervous.
It was after the reversal agent was administered that Sundari's sister Svetli passed away.
It's just a tense, nervous time where 2 minutes when you're in this situation seems like half an hour, and 10 minutes seems like 2 blooming days.
As Ian waited with bated breath, his worst nightmare came true. Sundari stopped breathing and flatlined.
Now, summer may mean sunshine, but it also means bugs that buzz, bite and bother. And there's one beautiful girl here in the park who's in a whole heap of trouble. It's long-suffering Frankie, the 5-year-old aardvark.
Hello, darling. Oh, I can see, yeah.
Keeper Alessandra has called in vet Duncan. because poor Frankie's being eaten alive by a mystery assailant.
I noticed she had a small bite at the end of her nose, and about 5 more bites have appeared, and her face has become quite swollen.
Yeah, there's loads of them. There's one,
whole top area. They just sort of appeared.
Aardvarks have notoriously tough skin, and on home turf in sub-Saharan Africa, they often bed down in old ant nests. So how a British insect is causing Frankie so much bother is a proper puzzle.
It's not something we've ever seen before. This swelling it's a bit worrying.
So yeah, it's a bit of a mystery because nobody saw anything biting her and we don't know what's biting her. It's assumed that it's flies. It can be a bit of an issue because coming into summer, she could get bitten loose.
Duncan prescribes a course of steroid cream and antibiotics. But when Alessandra returns to medicate her,
It got worse.
Frankie's gone downhill rapidly.
Got a little bump on her foot, so potentially that's another bite. I've just noticed some more bites on her stomach, and unfortunately these ones do look a bit infected, just like the ones on her face.
Aardvarks are nocturnal, so applying ointment is a cinch.
Good girl.
But waking up the normally perky Frankie isn't so easy.
So her favourite treat, some nice tasty mealworms. So normally as soon as you come in with food, Frankie will be up, just like Benjamin is right now. Right, are you going to get up? Because Benny is very hungry by the looks of it.
After an unusually long wake-up call, Frankie eventually stirs.
So she's up and about now, but as you can see, she is not as eager as either Benny or Nacho, which is not like her. Would you like some? I'm sorry. Oh. So we're gonna have to get you back on the road to recovery, aren't we? Get my Frankie back.
To do that, the keepers need to unmask the mystery biter.
Okay, let's get these logs out.
Georgia and the team start with new bedding. These cheeky aardvarks have a bad habit of bringing in sand from outside. And with it, all sorts of unknown beasties.
So if we change it over for a bit more cocoa fibre than normal, and we'll see if that gets rid of any bugs that's living in it.
Cocoa fibre, made from the husks of coconut, is used as cosy bedding for all sorts of animals.
Naturally, they can get quite dry skin, which can cause a lot of issues. So cocoa fibre keeps the moisture in, keeps it nice and humid in here. Go wake up, buddy. Hey, buddy. Oh, you're a bit sandy. Might have to get some mealworms to wake you up. If this kind of does solve it, if she doesn't get any more bites, yeah, it was their own faults, to be honest, because they're bringing in the sand and they're mixing it in with their cocoa fibre.
This is a temporary solution. Everyone knows that the new cocoa fibre bedding won't stay pristine for long. After all, these three aren't the world's most sophisticated creatures, as Benny is quick to demonstrate.
Oh, he's farted. Oh, Benny, man. Oh.
If only stinky Benny could act as an insect repellent.
Benny, man.
But the hunt for whatever's bugging Frankie continues. And we've sent our very own pest detective, Jean, in to help keeper Alessandra.
Hi, Alessandra.
Hi.
Oh, look at these 3 cuties. Poor Frankie.
Yes, it's been quite a difficult time.
Yeah, I can see some little marks on her face there. Have you got a list of suspects?
We don't actually. She has been bitten by flies so many times before,
Right.
and never reacted to it. But the interesting thing is, neither of the other aardvarks have been affected. Not a single bite on them.
How strange. So do you think she's got a blood type or something about her that's more susceptible to these mystery bites?
I think she might just be a bit sweeter.
Yeah, she is, because she's the girl of the group, isn't she?
Yes.
What about allergies?
Yeah, potentially. So we're going to have to try a few different things.
Well, I brought you some fly paper.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe we could catch some flies and see if any of them are responsible.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to catch the suspects. Right, so we hang this one up.
How do you feel being, the detective that has to crack this case?
You really don't think you're going to be coming in and analysing different corners of an enclosure looking for a suspect, but it makes it interesting. No day's the same.
Well, Alessandra, I hope we find out who or what is biting Frankie.
Earlier this year, Sundari underwent surgery and immediately went downhill rapidly. So the team went back into her pen to attempt resuscitation. Senior Warden Ian was there to watch the drama unfold.
We just couldn't wait because she'd stopped breathing, and obviously if you don't get oxygen to the brain, you're going to die.
A life-threatening situation for both tiger and humans.
You've got a tiger which has been given reversal. It should literally come round, could literally get up any second, but it's not breathing. You don't want to lose the tiger, so we've literally made the decision we're going to all go in and get a tube back down it to start it breathing again.
To get oxygen to Sundari's brain, one vet used a tube to give this 130-kilo predator mouth to mouth. Another began chest compressions to keep her blood circulating, and a third prepped the meds that could just bring her back to life. But Sundari was fading, fast.
She's not doing anything. She's just stopped breathing.
Could medication bring her back from the brink?
And we didn't want to lose her.
But as Sundari slipped further away, hope faded.
Not again. Please, not another tiger.
Until...
But there, the red's moving. She's more alert for sure.
Finally, signs of life.
That was such a good sign to see. And she was looking round at us all, so that was all good signs.
An enormous relief for everyone. But sadly, a short-lived reprieve for Sundari. Days after her surgery, biopsy results revealed that the tumours on her mammary glands were cancerous.
Cancer is one of those awful things that affects animals as well, I'm afraid. We wanted to live for as long as possible, but we also got to think in the back of our minds that if this comes back within 6 months, there's not much more we can do for her.
Good girl. You come in here.
But for now, at least, a kind of normality has returned to Sundari's life.
Good girl.
And I'm back with keeper Amy to check in on our old friend.
Amy.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing? Hello, my girl.
She's a bit grumpy.
Well, I think you're allowed to be grumpy. My goodness, you have been through the mill.
Yeah, we really have, really have.
So if the tumours were on her belly, were they effectively like a breast cancer?
Yes, technically, it was on her mammary glands, and obviously they've got quite a few sort of...
They have, yeah.
And it was across two.
Oh, my goodness. So they removed a whole tumour, but there are still parts of tumours, so is she on borrowed time?
She is on borrowed time. Because she's an older animal, it might take longer, but it will come back. So, we're just monitoring all the time. We come in, and every day we're getting her to stand up, checking underneath to see if there's any more lumps that are appearing, and then we'll just have to deal with that time. I don't think, obviously, after last time, we can put her through another operation.
Right.
It's going to be... We're going to have to think really hard about what we do.
Yeah.
But we're taking every day as it comes. So
and giving her the best, quality of life that she can have now.
Definitely.
Oh, my girl. You're still so beautiful, though. So are you going to health check her now? And
yes,
just
we
sort
can
of
health
see?
check her now
okay.
and have a look. So if you'd like to give her the chunks,
I'd love
and then I'll
to.
have a look underneath.
Okay.
So you can get her to stand right
Come on,
up.
my girl.
Good girl.
Come on,
Good girl.
Up you come. Good girl. Do you want to have one first? I'm going to spoil you. Don't tell Amy. Okay, there we are. See? Nothing nasty. Oh, I know. Do you want to stand up for me now? Come on then, my girl.
Good girl.
Come on then. Come on up here. Come on. Good girl.
Good girl.
Good girl. Well done. Gosh, it's a very neat job, though, Amy. I mean, you can hardly see any scarring at all.
Yeah, it was very good. But obviously, where it is, she's going to keep moving about, so it did open up.
Right.
So we've just had to monitor the wound, and it's healed beautifully.
Well, it's lovely to see her today. That tail is twitching in a way that says, if you don't feed me now, I'm going to eat the cameraman. Now, yeah, I know. To you too.
Back at Koala Creek, keepers are still waiting for the right moment to introduce young male Dennis to the girls. Romance should be high on the agenda because these 4 young koalas are part of an international breeding project. But there's 0 chance of babies because up to now, teenager Dennis has been too puny to have a girlfriend. And there's no way Head of Animal Adventure Graham is letting him loose on the koala mating scene until he's good and ready.
Koala breeding in itself is really rough and really aggressive, and it's probably not going to be the prettiest thing to watch.
But today is Dennis's big day. The official weigh-in to find out if he's bulked up enough to meet the girls. All the other signs are looking good.
He's been bellowing, he's been barking away, he's been pacing, he's kind of ready and good to go. The girls are also quite reciprocal, so they're bellowing back, they're getting quite jittery, but what we're really concerned about with Dennis particularly is that if he's not on the right weight, he's not powerful enough, he's not strong enough to hold the girls and do what he needs to do, really.
But since he got here, Dennis's weight's been going down as well as up, sometimes varying by as much as 200 grams between weigh-ins. The team wants him to top 8 kilos before he gets romantic with the ladies. 2 days ago, he was 7.9. Time to find out if he's piled on the vital 100 grams that'll get him to ideal mating weight.
Hopefully he won't run away too quickly. I can't get him from there because he's cramming himself in, so it's a bit of an awkward one, but...
But first, James and Graham will have to coax him down.
In theory, he should go on the shoulder. There's no other way I'm going to pick him up. It's my weaker side to my right, and he will take advantage of that and he'll get me. It's all right. It's all right. Oh, don't go that way.
Dennis may be struggling to pile sufficient weight on to get himself a gal, but he's certainly strong enough and grumpy enough to bite a keeper if things don't go his way.
That wasn't so bad, was it? All right. Got a bit of fight today, haven't we? Okay, Graham? Happy with 0?
Yep, happy with 0.
Okay, he will just get on and then we'll have to be fairly fast. Okay, boys.
The weigh-in that will decide Dennis's dating profile is a nervous moment for both Koala and keepers.
So we're looking at 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7.7 kilos today.
It's a disappointing 200-gram drop in weight, and Koala dating's right off the menu. We're catching up with keeper John to see what's next for unlucky in love Dennis.
So John, poor old Dennis isn't quite, well, fat enough to take on the girls. Is that basically the story?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it, the fact that he's munching away and he's a big koala. Yeah, so he's still a young koala. He's not fully developed or mature enough to have his first date with the girls, but he's almost there. Male koalas need that little bit of extra weight, a bit more power just to dominate the girls, basically.
Is it about domination? I mean, is that how you play things?
I was seeing a bit of myself in Dennis there. I suppose what this brings home to me is that for Dennis, this is a whole new world living here in Wiltshire, but for you guys as well, you're learning about a whole new species.
Yeah, I mean, I work with a wide variety of animals, but koalas are another level. They're such a unique, just fascinating animal. They're so iconic. Everyone knows koalas. You show someone a photo, they know what it is, but there's not a lot known about them, so we're learning all the time.
So once Dennis does reach that all-important 8 kilos, how do you do an introduction?
So the girls are sort of dipping in and out of season at the moment. Right. They make this incredible bellowing noise when they're flirting. It almost sounds a bit like a helicopter. So what we find at the moment, because the girls aren't showing a huge amount of interest in Dennis, he actually flirts with helicopters. So helicopters go over, and he actually bellows to the helicopter. So you get a little bit of, which is, just another day in the office.
Got a lot to learn. Are they looking at him now and going, oh, no, you're not quite heavy enough for me?
Yeah, and a lot of it is the scent as well, so typical boy is a bit smelly. I mean, Koala's eyesight isn't great, so a lot of it is done through the scent. So once we see that behaviour, we'll select a girl to be the lucky one to have their first date. Dennis's bit is quite short and sweet, and then we wait. It's about 36 days for the gestation of a koala.
36 days.
Yeah, because again, being a marsupial, they don't do things normally. They give birth to this weird little red jelly bean creature, which finds its way into mum's pouch and then cooks in there. But one step at a time. We're not getting too overexcited.
And all I would say is don't take too many lessons from a koala.
No, I won't.
You know, you smell kind of okay now, and you know you don't need to put on any more kilos.
My advice to you, Dennis: keep on eating.
John, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
and
John.
yes, we'll keep updated with the progress. Dangerous creatures aren't always dressed to kill. Park cuties like otters and anteaters are classed as just as treacherous as big cats. And behind closed doors, they're nurturing a mini killer. Jean has gone to have a look with keeper Becky.
What have we got here today?
So I have almost every stage of a poison dart frog's development.
So take me back, how does it all start?
So females will lay about 8 or 9 eggs in a clutch. She'll lay them somewhere nice and damp. The tadpole starts to develop in the egg, and then you get this.
And then we get this,
yes.
Okay. 8 is quite a lot. Do every single one of those survive?
No, not at all. I am happy if I get 3 or 4 that hatch successfully from a clutch of 8 or 9. This one actually hatched about 2 days ago.
Oh, so brand new?
Yes. Normally, the male dart frogs, it's really cute, they pick up the tadpoles on their backs and they go...
Daddy takes care?
Daddy daycare, and the dads will go and drop them off in a little puddle or a pond. They will live in the water source for months. They get really big. They have the cutest little faces. They look like they're smiling.
It's hard to believe there's a face on this little black dot, Becky, but I believe you.
And then they start to develop legs.
Amazing. So this is just like a little tiny frog, but still with
a
that tadpole tail.
Yeah, but they're going to start absorbing that tail until there's just a little stump at the back, at which point I would expect it to then be a froglet and to come out the water.
This is so interesting. Let me see stage 3.
Okay, so the next stage, when they've absorbed their tail,
do we have a little
you
frog?
get a teeny tiny froglet.
Oh, it's the tiniest frog I've ever seen.
Isn't it adorable?
So cute. But a fully formed frog?
Yes. But at this point, he has developed these beautiful colours. Not many animals are going to mess with this froglet. Poison dart frogs in the wild, not a very good meal. You're probably going to end up very poorly after eating one of these.
So how are those colours related to them being poisonous?
So it's a warning. Poison dart frogs come in a ridiculous amount of colours. All of them are designed to make you stop, make you look and think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go and poke you.
What's this last stage?
This last stage is almost an adult frog. So
and still tiny.
And still absolutely teeny, yes. So I'm going to get this froglet out for you to have a closer look at.
Okay. You just said they were poison, right?
Yes, that's correct, but they're not poisonous in captivity.
Phew. Wow, those colours are so vibrant. That would be a warning for predators. You'd think twice before attacking this frog.
If I saw one in the wild, I would peg it.
So they only produce the poison when they're out there in the rainforest?
Yes, it's to do with their diet. In the wild, they'd find a special microorganism that allows them to produce the toxins that make them so deadly. And in some species, it will kill you.
Wow, something so small can be so deadly.
Yeah, very, very deadly.
I think that's a good protection for them. They're small and cute, but don't mess with them.
Don't mess, no.
Yeah.
Back in the aardvark enclosure, something small and vicious has been making life a misery for Frankie. The identity of the mini marauder who's been biting her remains a mystery, but thankfully Frankie's on the mend, at least for now.
She's doing really well, no more visible bites on her. Antibiotics really helped to clear up those bites.
It's good news, but everyone's still in the dark about what's been attacking Frankie. It's really bugging Georgia. So she's called in her very own private insectigator. Bugman James.
Hi, James.
Yeah, you're right, okay.
We'll probably start with the fly papers, see what you got on there, and have a look at the substrate as well. I know you've changed it, but see if we can maybe see something in it.
James is a bit of an entomology expert. This super sleuth has already zoned in on some likely suspects.
My first sort of idea would be maybe sandflies. Unlike mosquitoes, they don't lay their eggs in water, they lay them in soil. They have a very painful bite and they get infected quite easily, so...
That'd make a bit of sense then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Inspector Insect sets about gathering evidence with a small pot and a very tiny spoon.
I'm sticking quite close to hard surfaces, so things like logs and walls. Most insects will lay close to those sort of objects. It means that their eggs have the best chance of survival, and that would give us an idea of what might be causing an issue.
Back at the lab, James can get his evidence under the microscope. But will he find traces of suspect numero uno, sandflies?
Pretty difficult to tell the difference between a grain of sand and an egg.
There was a potential that it was sandflies that were biting them.
Nothing's jumped out at me, so that's good.
With his microscope failing to throw up clues, James turns his attention to the fly paper.
So I've got the remains of what is potentially a mosquito, and I think that we've got a few gnats here as well, or midges.
Both very known for biting. The difference between the two is a mosquito actively penetrates the skin to get to the blood. Midges have almost cutting mouth parts and can leave quite an irritating sort of rash. So, 2 potential culprits.
Now that she's got a list of likely perpetrators, Georgia's armed herself with citronella. It won't kill the bugs, but they will be put off by its scent.
I think definitely every summer we will anticipate it now that they might get an insect bite, and we know what actions to put in place. I'm hoping now that we've kind of nailed what it is and we've got that it's mosquitoes, that it's something that we can manage quite easily.
With the insect invasion repelled, the aardvarks can sleep easy once more. And we're popping over to tuck them in.
Can there be anything more adorable than an aardvark?
I was going to say Labrador, but I think they might win.
I think they might.
Sadly, that's all we've got time for today. But here's what's coming up on the next Animal Park. Night, everybody. No.
Where's Kate? I can only see a pile of aardvarks.
Next time...
1, 2, 3.
2 new arrivals compete to be top croc.
When you've got those 2 coming at you, that certainly gets the old heart pumping.
A health scare for rare red panda, Ponya.
Sometimes with congenital heart problems, though, they can have abnormal blood vessels, which can cause problems.
And Cecil the head-butting ram
Ow!
marks his man.
Try and...